Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the evening session, day 9, 28 days to a new consciousness. And of course, it begins right now, 6:15 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, live here on the Awaken the World page. And I, of course, am Garen, sort of. So, this morning we talked about how no matter who we're dealing with, if we're able to understand that we too have been there, done that, we've been at that level of consciousness, we've experienced that. And if we're able to remember, to have an awareness of the suffering that we put ourselves through at that particular level of consciousness, or at least be willing to see the suffering that a person is putting themselves through, we can then choose to approach them from a much more compassionate point of view. And these are my personal thoughts on this, and I'll always let you know when that is the case. My personal thoughts regarding Christ is that that's exactly what he did, is he was able to see, the suffering others were putting themselves through. And of course, through that, perpetrating on others, because you can't perpetrate suffering upon others if you yourself are not suffering. I want to say hello to Kim. Good evening, Kim. Nice to see you this evening, as always. I hope your day is going well and your evening, I'm not sure what time it is your way. I think it's about 3 hours ahead, right? But I hope your evening is going well. So, when we look at Christ, I see that the way he saw through everyone, no matter what their position, no matter what their role they were playing, he was able to see the suffering within them. And he spoke to that suffering to relieve that suffering. And in many cases, we find that he couldn't heal them all, or he couldn't heal everyone. And we know that in those cases, the people held on to that suffering. But that does not mean that he did not exercise that compassion. So if we have to sum up our role here on this planet, it's to remember what we truly are, and that is creation itself. To be able to love what you create. And collectively, we're creating it all. Imagine a divine creator that wasn't willing to love what it created. I think we'd all be in a lot of trouble. It would really be Old Testament, Thankfully, I know different. That sea of consciousness loves everything it creates, because its nature can only be defined as such. And thereby, so can our nature. Now, looking beyond the word, we're looking into how we can choose to see others around us. Can we look beyond the unconsciousness? Can we see between the harsh words or the flying fists? And develop compassion for the suffering that they're going through at the level of consciousness they're at. You and I have gone through that suffering too. We all have. It was always someone who was willing to take compassion upon us in our state. That was there for us. And we are offered that opportunity to pay that forward in every way. And you are paying it to yourself. This is the glorious gift. When you take that compassion and you're able to look at another and see them as yourself, see they're struggling, and wish nothing more than to help them relieve that struggling, even as they're beating their fist against you. I know that is a point that I work towards in every way and every day. I hope you allow a brief second in any of your encounters from here on in to just recognize God within the other, recognize yourself within the other, recognize that you too were once where they may be. And just as you thought you were right then, they think they're right now. Hello, Janet. So nice to see you as well. And, I got to say, I'm very excited, and I didn't actually count this evening's video. But this is actually, and we're going to skip this one because it's too short. But tomorrow morning, our meditation on YouTube on the Help Awaken channel, that will be our 499th video. And our Awaken Sunday Live Q&A will be 500 videos since our official launch February 1st last year. Wow, that's all I can say. I had no idea. I went through and I looked at YouTube, and the one's like at 175 and the other one's 149 or something like that. And then I began to count up all the group videos and all the page videos. And I was amazed to see that. And we owe you a debt of gratitude because we are enriched just as much by interacting with you as we hope to enrich you. This is the glorious thing that happens when we're willing to see ourselves in another. When we're willing to accept that no matter where we find ourselves or another, we've all gone through these things. Because the only way to fully have an experience is to have the experience from a multitude of points of view. And that's what we're providing. And honestly, I feel very blessed. I really do. I forgive me if I can't see any of the comments. They scroll by me too fast.
We're witness to the first one.
Awesome, guys. Yeah, back in the days when we were streaming and having all the all the video issues, I remember those days. So this is really the focus of today and the focus of this evening and the focus of going forward, okay? To always be willing to see ourselves in another, even if that other isn't what we really want to see. Because we're always in there somewhere. If you can't go that far, go as far as seeing the spirit of divine consciousness, that sea of consciousness, that manifestation of the divine within the other. And allow that to sit with you before you react. And if you look at the word react, which is typically what the mind does, it's exactly that. We replay an old role. We react out an old part, an old response. Allow the growing compassion in your being, in the awareness that just as you were once so sure of what you knew, where you were at, that there's always room for growth. And to help the other grow, to help another out of compassion, to ease their suffering, and offer them a doorway. And as we know from Christ in his healing, people didn't always take the door. That's okay. That's never been in your hands. That sea of consciousness looks after that. Much love to you all this evening. Thank you so much for being with us this entire time. And look so forward to meditating with you in the morning on the Help Awaken YouTube channel, and then joining for a great discussion at 1 o'clock on the Awaken the World YouTube channel, where we dive into consciousness from a spiritual perspective. Again, have a wonderful Saturday night. All our love from both myself and Kelly. Take care.